my time in the federal government was pretty much spent on the ground level fighting these wars. There are a lot of really good Americans out there in the military and the intelligence community and throughout the federal government that are similar to me. They spent their time on the ground. They weren't DC guys. They weren't trying to climb the rank and get a political appointee job, or trying to line up their next sweet gig at a think tank when they got out, or a defense contracting institution when they got out. They were just, nose to the grindstone, trying to actually make a difference. There's those guys out there, but a lot of them get beat down and they think that, well, I'm never going to become this political guy, so whatever, man, I'll just retire and punch out and go back to my hometown. We need to find those people. I know a lot of them. I want to bring them into government, but I do think there's going to be some scorched earth of when people don't do what the commander-in-chief says, and when they start going against the Constitution, they need to be called out and they need to be fired. I mean, I think the second, or was it the second or the first Trump impeachment, the whole Ukraine thing, if you were paying attention, you saw a lot of how the deep state thinks, because there was people there that went, under oath and with a straight face testified, like Colonel Veneman, and then even the State Department guy, who I unfortunately share a last name with, no relation. They would say things with a straight face like, well, the president of the United States violated the policy of the United States. It's like, well, no, that's not how it works, man. Like the people elected the president, and the president enacts the policy. You're just there to literally turn the knobs and do what he says. But there is this culture in D.C. that the permanent class, the permanent bureaucrats, they really run things. These politicians that just come in, they don't know what's going on. And I think that's just led to so many of our problems. And then the politicians get brought into the fold like around the 8 to 10 year mark, where they're just pretty much owned by the special interests who get them elected. And it's just this corrupt, disgusting system that we need to call out and just, I think, go scorched earth on.
I like scorched earth. It's necessary. I've been saying that conservatives need to become the party of change. I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's true. You know why? Because there's nothing left to conserve. You know why? Because they won.
Yeah.
They won.
You're right. Yeah.
The slow march through the institutions ended 2 nights ago when Joe Biden barfed up CRT bull crap in front of a joint session of Congress. White supremacy is terrorism. That is the final conclusion of the long march through the institutions, the capstone event, the most highest visibility moment for the president of his term, and one of his top 5 highest visibility moments of his entire term is when he went all the way. He went full send, as the kids say. And that's very troubling to me, very troubling. Now, you've mentioned a couple times America First. I know we have mutual in common, Matt Brainerd. Matt Brainerd came on my show very early on with real hard data on Arizona and Georgia and a few other places. And I don't want to tempt fate here, but I've had those videos up on YouTube with no strikes, no nothing, fully monetized. Why? Because Matt Brainerd speaks truth and he has facts that even YouTube can't get on. So tell me, you're working with Matt Brainerd. How did you guys get together? What's the vision? Where are we going, Joe?
So I was contacted by Matt, very luckily. So I had followed Matt's work for quite a while, really ever since November 3rd went the way that it did. I saw a lot of crazy voices out there that were talking about all the conspiracy theories. And then there was Matt and a handful of others, but really Matt saying, hey, we can prove this. Like, we're going to run it down. We're going to show how we got here. We're going to show our receipts, and we want to open up the books, and we want to prove that there was election fraud because of the way that this election was structured with the unrequested, mail-out ballots. So I followed him. Really, he spoke to the analytical side of my brain, and I think that's the argument that we need to have right now for election integrity. So when I started messing around with this idea of running for Congress, going out and talking to people throughout my entire district, the first thing on everyone's mind is the election of 2020. And they say to me, hey, are we ever going to have free and fair elections again? Are we ever going to adjudicate what happened in 2020? And this is people from all walks of life. I'm in the heart of timber country. These are lumberjacks. These are professional fishermen. These are business people, entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter. All their normal key issues out the window. What are we going to do about the election of 2020? So when Matt reached out to me, I was really excited that Matt Brainerd had contacted me. And I was like, hey, man, if I'm going to bring on anybody who understands how, DC works and the political side works, it has to be somebody who is aligned with my ideology, but then also knows that November 3rd is one of the biggest issues that we have right now that still needs full adjudication. So I, work closely with Matt, and the plan is, when we get in and we retake the House, when we retake the Senate, we need to have full congressional hearings on what happened in November of 2020 and have actual experts like Matt Brainerd come in and present the receipts. A lot of that's starting to take place right now with what's going on in Maricopa County, a lot of the data that's coming out of Georgia. But unfortunately, all the checks that we were supposed to have on our election, everybody who's responsible for those, they shirked their duties like cowards. And so again, should it be Congress? I don't know. But Congress seems like the last great hope for us to actually have a hearing where people raise their right hand and go on oath and go on the record, and we subpoena witnesses, we subpoena evidence, and we just lay it all out for the American people. And if the left wants to fight us on that, that's fine. They can fight us on that. But we're willing to show our math on this one because of guys like Matt. So I'm very excited to be working with him, and I'm excited for what's coming in 2022 when we lay it all out for the American people.
All right, so tell us, what is the plan? The election you're running, your election is in November of 2022. What district are you in? Who's the incumbent? Are you primarying somebody? What is the deal? What's going on with your district? Let's get some details.
Yeah, so Washington 3 is the district. And just so for people, we're right on the Oregon-Washington border. So we're on the north side of the Columbia River, southwest Washington. We go all the way out to the Pacific Ocean. We're the only red district on the West Coast that touches the Pacific Ocean. And then we go all the way, pretty crazy. Everybody always thinks Pacific Northwest is this hotbed, but right in the middle, there's this one sliver of red. And then we go all the way about 200 miles east along the Columbia River Valley Gorge into kind of more agricultural country. We are in the heart of timber country. So we're traditionally a Republican stronghold. Our representative for the last 10 plus years has been Jamie Herrera Butler. She voted for the impeachment of Trump. That's really what triggered me to get in the race and kind of get back into public service because by her voting for the impeachment of President Trump, she really painted an X on our district because we are right between Portland and Seattle, as we previously discussed. We're the only section of red that touches the Pacific Ocean. The left really wants to control this area to pretty much link their failing cities of Portland, Olympia, and Seattle to give them total control of this I-5 sector, Interstate 5. So it's strategic key ground. And then by her switching sides and showing that she could be manipulated by the left's narrative, she pretty much put open season on us. She was already a weak representative before. She voted to stop the construction of the border wall. She just voted for amnesty for a bunch of illegal immigrants hidden inside of a farming bill. She voted for Obamacare. She was very silent as Antifa encroached into towns in her district. She's been a weak Republican for a very, very long time. So the straw that broke the camel's back was the vote for impeachment. So we're a heavily conservative district. We have a good deal of Trump supporters. So the ground game so far is to get out to as many counties in the district as I possibly can, meet as many people as I can, start to build my team of local experts on all the different issues that affect our district so that I can speak knowledgeably about the issues and I know what really matters to people. But again, what people have told me the most is that, hey, election integrity, we have to adjudicate the election of 2020. And then we actually have to have people that are going to go fight for us. I mean, Representative Butler and traditional Republicans, they come and they do these transactional deals where they're like, oh, for the district, I put in an earmark in this bill and I got us an extra salmon fishery. I got us a salmon ladder that goes over a bridge. And it's these very transactional things. Meanwhile, the Republic is essentially burning and they say nothing, until it's time for them to be in the minority. And then they try and raise funds on whatever. They'll go on Fox News and say, isn't it crazy that Democrats want open borders? Go to my Win Red and give me some money. But then when they're in power and they could do something, they're like, well, I don't know if Trump really needs to build the border wall. So people have seen that these weak Republicans get us nowhere but pushed over. So that's my message to people is that I will go and I will fight for them. And it's our time to have our voices heard because if we don't do it now, it's just going to be too late.
To me, you don't sound extreme at all. To me, you sound right on point. I think to some other folks, you might sound a little extreme. Has anybody tried to give you advice to like temper your message a little bit or to just not be so, I don't know, authentic?
Working with Matt has has helped that a lot because Matt's an authentic guy, and so he's like, don't. He's like, the biggest mistake politicians make is they try and be someone else. And I'm like, well, that's good because I don't think I'd be able to do that very well. But the big thing is people, they see someone who's primarying a Republican from the right, and they're like, oh my God, he's got to be this extremist guy. And the way I lay it out now is I'm like, hey, there's lots of different nuances in policy, and I want to discuss all those. But the fight right now is very simple. There's one side that wants complete and total control of your life. And if you disagree, they will cancel you. You will be removed from social media. They'll put you on a no-fly list. And then there's the rest of us. And we want people to have their freedoms back. And we want them to be able to go about their lives and have the government stay out of their lives. And if you want to have a conversation about something, we're open to it. That's how simple it is right now. I mean, it's not a complicated choice anymore.
Yeah, no, I say go full authentic. I just wanted to make sure that people aren't chirping in your ear about it or saying tone it back or anything like that. I say go for it. We'll get that social media fired up for you too, get those tweets up to speed and get all those videos out there. The video that you released was very powerful. I strongly suggest everybody go watch it. Joe, if people want to support you, if they want to give you money, if they want to mail envelopes for you, make phone calls, knock on doors, whatever, what can they do and how can they find you?
So they can go to joekentforcongress.com. They can read about all my stances on all the issues there. They can send me an email directly, sign up to be a volunteer. And if they can, I really need as many donations as I can possibly get, because right now we're running off of all individual donations, no PAC money. And then also we're up against the establishment. So the Lincoln Project and that cast of characters, they love Jamie Herrera Butler, and they're already pumping money into the district. And then we have the far left from Portland and Seattle that wants to pump money into the district too. So we're up against a pretty formidable enemy as far as money goes. But luckily, truth's on our side, and I know enough people out there want to see this movement come to fruition and us take the House and the Senate back. So if they can make a donation, I'd really appreciate it.
Please do, guys. Make a donation. Support Joe Kent, primarying somebody who voted to impeach President Trump, and the second one based on the bullcrap January 6th nonsense about the most violent armed insurrection threat against democracy since the Civil War. Yeah, right. That's
led by the MAGA shaman.
Right, exactly. That's a shame that she did that, and a shame that you're fighting against the left at the same time too. That should tell you everything you need to know about the incumbent there in your district. Do you think you'll get the big endorsement from the man himself?
I'm optimistic about it, but I am working every day like I'm in second or third place. So from what I know of President Trump, I've interacted with him a couple times. He likes to see people work hard, and he likes to see people win. So if people want to see me win, they can definitely help me out with donations. And until I get that endorsement, and even after I get that endorsement, it's my job just to run like I'm in second and third place. So I'm hoping he sees the work that I'm putting in. But I'm trying to do everything I can to just get out there and actually just put the work in.